Thank you, Acting Speaker. I'm pleased to rise today to contribute to the Help to Buy Commonwealth Powers Bill 2025. Although I do feel as though the cart's a bit before the horse on this one, I would have thought this would have been a bill that, as per the reason amendment that the member of Brighton put forward, that we would actually discuss after the federal election. I mean, I'm not Nostradamus. I don't know what's going to happen in the federal election, whether there'll be a change of government or not. But to me, it would make common sense that this bill would be debated at that point in time when we knew whether it's going to be a new Labor government or whether it's going to be a coalition or whether it's going to be a hung parliament. For all that matter, we just don't know. So I do feel as though we have jumped the gun here a little bit. But we are here to talk about this, and as the member for Brighton stated earlier, we will obviously be voting on the reason amendment, but we will not oppose the bill if we lose that vote, which I can just imagine how that vote's going to go on Thursday. But the bill has been, and the debate has been, very wide-ranging today. It hasn't just stuck to this bill. And there's been a lot of discussion today about housing affordability and why housing is so less affordable now, hence probably why these schemes come into play. Now, it was pointed out earlier from the member of Gippsland South that could be contributing to the affordability of housing that we've had 60 new taxes that this government has brought in, and 30 of those relate to property. Now, I said this in my inaugural speech, and actually just on that, congratulations to the member for Werribee on his inaugural speech and getting that out of the way for him today. But I said in my inaugural speech is every time you introduce another tax or charge to developers, it gets passed down the line. It's very, very simple. And listen, I know there's some legislation coming forward probably next sitting week, building legislation, and I'll address that then, but I know there's charges associated with there on bonds, but that will get passed down the line. Make no mistake about it. Every time there is another tax or charge, it gets passed down the line. We have had the HIA now say that 40% of the construction of homes is tax related. So if we talk about affordability, I listened very carefully to the member of Mordialloc today. I mean, he sort of regurgitated partly in the MPI what he said earlier about he's got obviously very good muscle memory. He said the same thing. He said affordability now is 9 to 1. I'll tell you what it was in 2014, 4 to 1. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. So under this government, affordability of housing now is blown right out. Right out. And a lot of it has to do with the taxes associated with construction and land. It's just typical of this government that literally cannot manage money and is now taxing everybody to the hilt. And this is why housing is unaffordable. This is why schemes like this probably have to exist. It's really that simple. And I don't know why the government doesn't understand this, that if you want to get economy moving again, you can't tax it out of existence. We're losing investors out of this state at a rapid rate. They are leaving in droves. They're getting out of Victoria because of the taxes and charges, and then that is less housing supply. If you don't have people investing in the state, in housing, on investment properties, you're going to have rental problems. You're going to have rental demand, which will drive the price up as well. If there's no places to rent, it pushes the price up, supply and demand. We've heard it many a time in this chamber. And we've seen the government come out on its 60 precincts. This is going to solve the housing problem. The 60 precincts, I think it's going to house, the figure I've been hearing is 360,000 people. But then we've got the development community coming out and saying it is not viable. Now, it's okay to come out and put something on a bit of paper and say this is what we're going to do, but if you're listening to the industry and they're saying it is not viable, you will not achieve that goal. It is really plain and simple. So we've got the development community saying, well, you can create all the precincts you want, we're not going to build them. Is the government going to build them? I doubt it. They don't have the money to start with. They don't have the money to do that type of development, so you've got to rely on the private sector. But the private sector's saying it's not viable. So you can announce all the precincts you want, but unless you get the development community on board, it will never happen. And you can't get the development community on board when you continually tax them. And to be honest, my opinion of the 60 precincts, it's not a housing policy, it's a tax policy. And people go, why is that? Why is it a tax policy? Because you have to rezone land. And what happens when you rezone land in this state? You get hit with windfall gains tax, another tax. And where do you think that tax is going to go? It's going to go onto the price of the apartment, the unit or whatever gets built on that site. It's not a housing policy, it's a tax policy. And this is why development's getting driven out of this state. We've already heard this government say, our target is 800,000 homes over 10 years. But at the start it was 80,000 homes a year. Then they realised, yeah, we're not going to make that. So we're going to just change the narrative and we'll call it 800,000 over 10 years. Divide by 10, it's still 80,000 homes a year. In the first year, you delivered just a titch over 50,000 homes. Now remember, this came out in September 2023, right? So to September 2024, you're about 25,000 homes shy, 26,000 homes shy of that target. And I know that the next year isn't going to be any better. I would guess by September 2025 that the government is going to be somewhere between 50 to 60,000 homes short on supply of their target. And it wasn't, again, it's not a target set in stone. It's somebody's come up with an idea and said, 80,000 sounds great. We'll just say 80,000. And if they actually did their research on how housing has been constructed over this state from the 1990s through to today, they would know on average we only build 46,000 homes a year from 1990. They would know that the best year we ever had was in 2017, and that was 75,000 homes before the big build ramped up. Before they sucked all the labour out of the domestic construction industry and put it into infrastructure. They would know that affordability back then was a lot better because when they put everything on the line at once, all the prices went up. All the prices went up. Again, supply and demand. It's a pretty easy rule to follow. Now, in saying that, how are we going to achieve any targets we can today where today, as opposed to 18 months ago, I think we have nearly 800 less builders in this state. They've gone into liquidation. They're gone. Simple as that. They've left the industry or they've gone into liquidation. Nearly 800 less builders. Liquidations in Australia, this is Australia-wide, 28% of liquidations in Australia are made up of builders. And Victoria is the highest contributor to that. Not only that, today, as opposed to 12 months ago, we have over 21,000 less tradies. 21,000 less tradies. So the government can get up here, they can spruik to me all they want about what they're going to do and we're going to set this figure here and that figure there, but it's all a load of rubbish. It cannot be achieved. Because quite frankly, what's happening, and the government might not even be aware of this, so I'm going to educate the government, what's happening at the moment on the big build projects, the ones that are finished up and the people that can't off those big build projects, the big infrastructure projects, they're not staying in Victoria. They're going north. They're chasing the money. They're going to Queensland because Queensland's gearing up for the Olympic Games. They're doing the big infrastructure projects. And this is the problem this government has created in this state. So you've got a paddle pot person earning $200,000 a year. Right, he could have been an ex-tradie. Do you think he's going to go back and build a house, build a frame, do a fix-out, do a rough-in, do eaves, whatever, for $1,500 a week? No. He will chase the money. And good on him. I'd do the same if I still had the nail bag on. Why wouldn't I? But this is the problem the government has created. Now the problem we have is we have a massive housing shortage, we don't have the tradies to fix it, and we don't have the builders to fix it. So when the member for Morty Alec, and he can get up and spruik all he wants and call us blockers, and I can tell you now, the blockers on that side is the Minister for Planning and the new Minister for Local Government who blocked development in his electorate. So don't get up there and spruik to us about blocking. The fact of the matter is the government has created this mess. I've just gone through the affordability, how much it's gone up from 2014 to now, and quite frankly, this bill is very much cart before the horse. Wait till the election and then put the bill in.